He lingered a little too long, his smile too tight. Nana's stomach turned, but she couldn't shake the feeling of discomfort. She had gotten what she wanted, better grades, more attention, but she hadn't expected it to come at such a cost. All the male teachers wanted her badly. Nana sat in the back of the classroom at Victoria Noble Academy. Her eyes flickered between the notes on her desk and the clock on the wall. It was almost time for the bell, and her mind drifted to the pile of assignments waiting for her at home. She had always prided herself on being the top student in her class. Her academic excellence, the crown she wore with pride. Yet, the weight of constant pressure was becoming unbearable. Her classmates often whispered behind her back, praising her intelligence and grace. Aisha, however, was different. Aisha never spoke of Nana's brilliance with admiration. Instead, there was a sharp edge to her compliments, a hint of something darker. "You are so lucky, Nana," Aisha had said earlier that week, leaning close as they walked to lunch. "You are beautiful, you are smart, and everything seems to come so easily to you." Nana had smiled politely, unsure about how to respond. But Aisha wasn't done. "You know, you could even get further if you used your looks. Don't work so hard, let them come to you." Aisha had winked as she walked off, leaving Nana with a lingering thought that gnawed at her. It started innocently enough. At first, Nana had laughed off the suggestion. Why would she, a girl who had worked so hard to get to where she was, suddenly consider using her beauty to manipulate her way through school? But Aisha's words stuck with her. The more she thought about it, the more appealing the idea seemed. She was already beautiful after all. Why not use it to ease the strain of her academic life? The following week, Nana started to change. She wore her hair in a way that framed her face perfectly, not the messy bun she usually tied it into during late night study sessions. Her uniform was always perfectly pressed, and she made sure to smile a little more often, the kind of smile that made heads turn. The change wasn't drastic, but it was enough for those around her to notice. It worked. Her teachers, who had once seemed indifferent, now smiled at her more often. They complimented her work, praised her for small improvements that didn't exist, and even gave her extensions for assignments she hadn't completed. Slowly, her grades began to rise without the usual stress and effort she had once put in. But with the increased attention came the whispers. At first, it was just a murmur. Students who once admired her academic brilliance now scowled behind her back. She overheard the occasional comment in the halls, a sneer from girls she had once called friends. "She's not all that smart. She's just, lucky," one of them said during lunch, her voice dripping with envy. "She's getting all the perks because she's pretty. It's not fair," another added, her voice barely audible. Nana had dismissed it at first, too consumed by her newfound success to care. But resentment started to build, creeping into her every interaction. What was once a simple desire for validation had now grown into a hunger for admiration, one that fed on the approval of those around her. It wasn't long before the teacher's behavior began to shift as well. Their compliments became more pointed, their gestures more deliberate. Mr. Kofi, her history teacher, had started giving her extra attention, calling on her more often in class. But there was something in his eyes now, something that felt less like mentorship and more like expectation. "Good job, Nana," Mr. Kofi said one afternoon after class. "You are really progressing. But I've always believed that beauty comes with a certain responsibility." He lingered a little too long, his smile too tight. Nana's stomach turned, but she couldn't shake the feeling of discomfort. She had gotten what she wanted, better grades, more attention, but she hadn't expected it to come at such a cost. The next day, she overheard a conversation in the teacher's lounge. Mr. Kofi was speaking to Mrs. Obina, the chemistry teacher, his voice low and conspiratorial. "It's amazing how much attention she's getting. It's almost like she's been chosen." His words hung in the air, and Nana's heart raced as she realized what he meant. Her beauty had become a currency, and she had sold it for the price of her success. She felt sick to her core. These weren't just innocent favors, these were transactions. A beauty for grades, a smile for opportunities, and they were asking for more. She had crossed the line. That night, Nana stood before the mirror in her room, staring at her reflection. The girl who had always prided herself on her intellect now seemed like a stranger. The girl who had worked so hard to get into Victoria Noble Academy, whose parents had sacrificed everything to send her there, was now a commodity. She felt dirty, compromised. She decided then and there that she would stop. No more using her beauty to climb the academic ladder. She would return to the hard work, the long nights of studying, the grind that had gotten her into Victoria Noble Academy in the first place. She would rebuild the reputation she had once worked so hard to maintain. But Aisha had other plans. The next day, the rumors began. At first, it was just a whisper in the hallways. But by the end of the week, the stories are taking on a life of their own. Nana was no longer the brilliant, beautiful student who had earned a place in the academy. She was the girl who had slept her way to the top, a willing participant in the corrupt system of her teacher's desires. Aisha, the one who had planted the seed of manipulation in Nana's mind, was the one who spread the lies. She claimed that Nana had been involved with the teachers for favor, that her beauty had won her more than just grades. The rumors spread like wildfire, poisoning everyone they touched. The principal, Mrs. Nyang, called Nana into her office one afternoon. Her face was impassive, her voice cold. "Nana," she began, "have heard some very disturbing allegations. Your behavior has been brought to my attention, and I need you to explain yourself." Nana's world crumbled. She tried to protest, to explain that the rumors were false, but the principal was unmoved. The damage had been done. "You are expelled from this school, Nana," Mrs. Nyang declared, her voice final. "We cannot allow this kind of scandal to continue." The days that followed were a blur. Nana's parents were devastated. Her mother, usually a picture of strength, broke down in tears when she heard the news. Her father, who had worked tirelessly to provide for her education, couldn't look her in the eye. "You've ruined everything," her mother said through her sobs. "All the sacrifices, all for nothing." Nana could feel the weight of their disappointments crushing her. The dream she had worked for was shattered, her reputation in tatters. She was no longer the brilliant student they had believed her to be. She was just another girl who had fallen victim to her own vanity and ambition. Her parents enrolled her in Ika High School, a public school far from the luxury and prestige of Victoria Noble Academy. It was a chance to start over, to rebuild her life from the ground up. But the sting of betrayal, the shame of her actions, still lingered in her heart. If you have enjoyed the story so far, Remember to like this video by hitting the thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel. This goes a long way in helping us bring you more beautiful stories like this one. Thank you. At Ika High School, things were different. She was no longer the top student, no longer the girl everyone admired. The students here didn't care about her beauty or her grades. They were too busy living their own lives, too caught up in their own struggles to care about Nana's past. But Nana cared. She cared more than anything. She had learned a painful lesson that shortcuts lead to nothing but pain and regret. She had learned that beauty without substance was hollow. She had learned that true success came not from manipulating others, but from hard work, honesty, and integrity. In the quiet of her room, Nana made a promise to herself. She would rise again, not on the back of her looks, but through her abilities. She would become the student she once was, the girl who had believed in herself. It was a long road ahead, but Nana was ready for the challenge. She was ready to rebuild. The price of beauty had been too high, but now Nana understood that the real beauty lay in her strength, her resilience, and her ability to rise above the lies. And that was worth everything. Nana sat in the old wooden desk of her new classroom. The chipped paint on the walls and the flickering fluorescent lights overhead only added to the gloom of her new life. Ika High School was nothing like Victoria Noble Academy. Here, the students were different, raw, unpolished, yet alive with an energy that both unsettled and intrigued her. Her first week at Ika High was a whirlwind of confusion and humiliation. Nana had once been the smartest girl in the room. Now she was just another face in the crowd. She had expected the transition to be difficult, but she hadn't anticipated the weight of being a nobody. The girls at Victoria Noble had looked up to her, admired her from afar. Here, they didn't care. The students spoke in hushed tones, their lives filled with experiences Nana had never known. They were blunt, unapologetic in their stories, and everything felt raw, unscripted. On the first day of school, one of the boys in our class had approached her with a curious smile. You are the new girl, right? He asked, his eyes scanning her uniform as if trying to figure out what kind of person she was. Nana nodded, offering a weak smile. I'm Tunde, he said casually, as though he had no interest in her answer. Listen, if you want to survive here, don't act like you are too good for us, okay? We've all seen girls like you, pretty and clueless. Nana's heart sank. She had been used to the admiration at Victoria Noble, but here, Tunde's words felt like a slap in the face. Later that week, she overheard a conversation between a group of girls in the cafeteria. They were discussing their teachers with a bluntness that made Nana's stomach turn. You know, Mr. Olamide is a creep, one of the girls, Mary, said with a grimace. He will act all nice, but he gives girls extra marks for favors. Another girl, Chika, laughed nervously. I've heard that from a couple of girls. He's always too touchy-feely. Don't know why he's still allowed to teach. Nana leaned in, pretending to search through her bag as she listened intently. It was disturbing hearing such stories. The teachers at Victoria Noble Academy had been strict but professional. But here, at Ika High, there were whispers about the teachers being involved in things that should never be mentioned. Chika looked around, ensuring no one else was listening. And don't get me started on Mr. Ejiafo, the English teacher. He makes girls stay after class to help with projects. But we all know what that really means. Nana swallowed hard, trying to suppress the wave of nausea that hit her. It wasn't just the boys who were predators. The teachers here seemed to live in a world of unchecked power and manipulation. Nana couldn't help but think of her time at Victoria Noble High. How her beauty had been used as currency. Was she really any better than these girls who were lured into the hands of predatory teachers? That evening, as Nana sat alone in her new room, smaller, less comfortable than her room at Victoria Noble, her mind wandered back to the life she had lost. Her parents were silent when they came to visit on the weekends. Their disappointment evident in every word, every look. They were ashamed, and Nana couldn't blame them. But she was different now. She had learned a lesson the hard way. This time, she was determined to succeed on her own terms. No more shortcuts, no more looking for easy ways out. If she wanted to make something of herself, she would have to work harder than ever before. A month had passed, and Nana's resolve had been tested. Ika eye was full of distractions, and the pressure to fit in was intense. Every day, she felt the weight of the eyes on her, scrutinizing, judging, but she kept her head down, buried in her books, trying to reclaim the academic excellence she had once been known for. However, the gossip and rumors didn't stop. At lunch, while she sat quietly by herself, she overheard another conversation about one of her teachers, Mrs. Bakari, the math instructor. You know, she's been giving all the girls higher marks if they help her with her personal issues, right? One of the girls said, her voice carrying over the noise of the cafeteria. Nana's ears perked up. What do you mean by personal issues? Another girl asked, her voice skeptical. You know, it's the same as always, Mary replied with a knowing grin. It's like a silent agreement. Stay after school, wear the right clothes, and she will boost your grades. But if you don't play the game, you are dead. The girl who had asked the question leaned forward, intrigued. Is that why you've been getting so much attention in our class? Mary's smile widened. Exactly. I'm not stupid. I know how to play the game. Nana was stunned. She had assumed the teachers at Ika I were just corrupt, but this level of manipulation, it was far worse than she had ever imagined. And yet, some girls seemed to thrive on it, using their bodies and charm to climb higher on the academic ladder. At that moment, Nana realized that her situation wasn't unique. It wasn't just her, it was the system. It was a corrupt ecosystem where beauty, power, and privilege collided in a dangerous game that no one was willing to call out. She had made a mistake before, but she couldn't let that mistake define her future. Nana walked out of the cafeteria, her heart heavy with disgust. She had to rise above this somehow. She couldn't let the choices of others pull her down. As the months went by, Nana slowly began to make a name for herself again. But this time, not with her beauty. She studied relentlessly, joined study groups, and answered questions in class with a quiet confidence that had always made her stand out. She may not have been the top student of the class yet, but she was working towards it. One afternoon, while she was in the library, Tunde approached her again. He had been quieter lately, but today it was different, more intense. I've been watching you, Nana, he said, sitting down across from her without invitation. You've changed. Nana looked up from her book, trying to keep her voice steady. What do you mean? Tunde's gaze was fixed on her. You used to be so open, so eager to fit in, but now you are different. You don't care about what the people think anymore. Nana felt a flicker of doubt in her chest. She had worked so hard to shed the skin of the girl who had used her beauty for shortcuts, but the truth was, she was still grappling with the consequences of her past choices. I've learnt a lot, she said slowly, her eyes meeting his. Not everything is worth chasing. I've made mistakes, but I'm trying to fix them. Tunde leaned forward. You don't have to do this alone. If you ever want to, relax, let loose, maybe I can help you. There are ways to get what you want, You don't have to keep struggling. Nana stood up abruptly, gathering her teens. I'm not like you, Tunde. I don't need help from anyone who thinks shortcuts are the answer. Tunde's expression faltered, but Nana was already walking away, her heart racing. She had faced temptation before, and now, once again, she would rise above them. This time, her success wouldn't come from her beauty or a relationship. It would come from her efforts, her persistence, and her willingness to grow. As Nana walked out of the library and into the bustling hallway, she felt the eyes of the students on her. They had been watching her, scrutinizing her every move since she arrived. But now, something was different. They no longer saw her as the girl who had fallen from grace. She was no longer the pretty girl who used her charm to get ahead. She was Nana, the girl who had learned a lesson and was willing to fight for her place in the world, no matter the cost. And as the bell rang, signaling the end of another school day, Nana knew that the road ahead would be tough, but she was ready. She had found something more valuable than beauty or charm. She had found strength within herself, and that was a power no one could take away from her. The end. We hope you enjoyed the story you just watched. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video, as it helps us create more videos like this for you to enjoy. Thank you.